All right, finally conducting the interview, right? We just covered, I think, 4 or 5 different topics that usually get glazed over in other oral history programs that are arguably more important than doing the actual interview, but this is definitely the part that gets the most attention. So, as you sit down, you've got the equipment set up, you've had this prior conversation with the interviewee, they've seen the questions, you've done the paperwork. Now you're getting ready to actually do the interview. First up, you need to set the stage for what they can expect, identify their points of agency, and make them as comfortable as possible. Like, this is your number one priority, in addition to making sure the camera's recording, which hopefully you have a second person to do that. Making them comfortable is going to set you up for better success and a more enjoyable experience for your interviewee and for you too, for that matter. So typically what I like to do is let them know, like, hey, there's this camera here. It'll seem a little intimidating, but within a couple of questions, it will fade into the background. This is going to be a very conversational tone. You can start and stop at any point. If you'd like to do your answer over again, we can definitely do that. If you would like something cut out after you've said it, you can let us know now, or you can even let us know later when we're editing. So identifying all of the different points of which they can stop, they can ask for things, they know what's coming next. All of these things are critically important to making sure that they feel comfortable and safe. Also, as you're going through doing the interview, making eye contact, smiling, nodding to indicate that you are listening are also incredibly important. It is, when you're doing oral history interviews, it can be incredibly exhausting as the interviewer, even though you're not the one doing all of the talking, because you are keeping several different things in mind: camera equipment, yourself following the questions, maybe a follow-up question, as well as keeping track and keeping tabs on how is the interviewee doing. So this is extra important for the interviewee to make sure that they feel and know that they are being listened to. Otherwise, they're going to start self-censoring and start shortening the answers that they give you because they have interpreted, maybe rightly, that you are not quite engaged or as interested. And also, because this is meant to be an interview and not a conversation, even though we're keeping conversational tone, we are not speaking as much because this interview is not about us. And so doing those physical cues can help the interviewee know that even though I'm not giving like a verbal, like, oh, yeah, because those, for other editing reasons, are very distracting. Giving them that physical smile, nod, indicate that you're listening is really all that they need and is so important for you to do. Also, emotions are gonna happen. Sometimes they are happy emotions. It's good. Have a laugh, like laugh with them. There's also going to be sad emotions, and especially if you're covering a particular topic, event, lived experience that has some trauma with it for them and perhaps also for you, empathy is incredibly important here. And in order to help the well-being of your interviewee and also just to be a good human, you need to be in that moment with them. So if they start crying, I am a crier too. So I will start crying too, and we will just have a good cry together. And it is completely okay to take that moment, camera be damned, interview paused, whatever, and be with them. Be with them in that moment because they need to get through it, and you should be with them to help them get through that. So just know that it is okay for human moments to take that time and to show that emotion with them. And as they're going through it, usually there's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm crying. And they're trying to rush through it or trying to get some privacy because it's you and a camera, which is understandable. So being reassuring and saying it's okay, this we have paused, we will cut this out. Let's take a moment, like it's totally okay. Just a lot of affirmation and reassurance here. Also, keep in mind, depending on who you're interviewing and what you're interviewing about, that they may need breaks, whether that is a mental emotional break or like a bio needs break. Keep in mind how long it's been. Keep in mind how you're interpreting that they're doing, and occasionally offer, like, hey, would you like to take a break right now? Would you like to get a sip of water? Shall we stretch our legs? Just taking that moment to pause and ask them, do they need something? And then a note for you as the interviewer, take notes if it helps your brain. If you are a note taker, I am too. I usually let the interviewee know, like, hey, you will see me taking profuse notes. It's because I am loving what you're sharing. I want to make sure I get this down. I want to make sure I do a follow-up question, things like that. And that will indicate to them, again, because they're looking at you for reassurance that you making notes is a good thing and not because you're doodling or bored or whatever. And please, for the love of God, write notes on paper so that they can see it, especially if you're interviewing people that tend to be in an older demographic. If you're taking notes on your phone, even if you tell them you're taking notes on your phone, psychologically it is a major turnoff for people. So do not take notes on your phone. Write them out the old-fashioned way if at all possible. To complete the ethics of care for this particular section, I just want to reiterate that your number one responsibility here is the comfort and safety of your interviewee. And so everything you do, from the setup to the execution of to the post-production, all of your decisions should be made with their well-being in mind.